Welcome to Razzball Radio for Tuesday, July 29th. I am your host, Nick Capozzi. This is the Fantasy Sports Network, of course, available on Cablevision as well, channel 147 in the great city of Manhattan. And it's Tuesday, so I'm joined by Sky, our deep leaguer. Everybody loves Sky. He's the apple of our collective eye. What's up, Sky? How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. It's been a little bit since I've been on. I figured it's high time I hopped back on here.
Well, you
But
know what? It's because we're busy getting ready for the tour, and also we're kind of transitioning into football talk. So we've got a little bit of both today for you. We're going to talk deep leaguers with Sky, and then we're going to have Raph from Rotoballer come on, talk about some running backs to keep an eye on this year. By the way, if you're a hair care product company that would like to sponsor the show, if you can just do something, anything with this guy, I'll work something out for you. You're handsome. It's just, there must be a lot of static electricity in the state of Oregon.
my hair, I tried to grow my hair long once, hoping to get that long, cool look, and no, it just brambles out. That's all I get. It just keeps getting bigger.
Brambles, good word.
Uh,
That's our word of the day today, Brambles. See, of course, you can follow him at Sky_Razzball. Sky, we're actually going to see you next week. We're going to pick you up. Actually, man, we're
yes,
picking you up. Holy cow, we're picking you up on Friday.
yes. I'll be out on the highway. My thumb will be out. Just make sure not to miss me. I'll look like all the other shaggy hippies that are in the area, but I should be able to stand out.
All right, that's right, because we are kicking off the Razzball 32 and 32 and 32, powered by the Fantasy Sports Network, next Monday in Seattle at the World Sports Grill. You want to get on the guest list, email me, nick@razzball.com. Sky, let's start talking deep leaguers. Let's start with Yangervis Solarte. Obviously got moved in the Chase Headley deal. He is now a San Diego Padre. Is there any value to this guy other than deep leagues?
Uh, to me, no. He's definitely just a deep league only call. As we all know, the San Diego lineup has been pretty terrible all year. I don't see that taking a good turn. But since joining them, he's stats wise up until yesterday, he was 7 for 22 with a home run, 5 runs, and 5 RBI. I see him more because of his positional eligibility as just a great Swiss Army knife off the bench for deep leaguers, but I would not touch him in any standards at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. 13% owned in Yahoo, 19.9% in ESPN. Let's talk about Justin Ruggiano, and I want to bring him up. I know he's been off and on the DL all season long, but the Hittertron loves this guy.
Yep.
Statistically speaking, he should be in the lineup way more than he is. Is it just the injury issue?
It is just the injury issue. He started off, he's been hitting well all year, and Nate Shearholz has just fallen off the map, and they actually went out. They have Chris Coughlin as well. And I actually read a little blurb this morning on both Ruggiano and Coughlin that the Cubs aren't actually looking to trade them anymore at the trade deadline because they feel like they have more value than the secondary prospects they were getting offered.
Right.
So there's great value in keeping him around, which means the Cubs want to play him. So to me, that's a sign that he's not going anywhere. He's going to have a starting gig the rest of the way. And right now, he's hitting above 290. I think he's actually hitting 296 now. He has 4 home runs, and it's only in 167 at bats. They're not awe-inspiring numbers, but he's usually hitting in the 2 hole or the 5 hole, so good spots for runs and RBIs. And the Cubs offense has actually found some life in July. Seventh best WOBA since the start of July. So,
Wowzers.
yeah.
All right, let's head to Atlanta. So Dexter Fowler has been shelved indefinitely, so the Astros have moved Kike Hernandez to center field. It's giving Mark Krause an opportunity to play. This guy is owned nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, and for some valid reasons. He doesn't really have any sparkling stats up at the major leagues, and his minor league numbers aren't huge, but he has great power potential. And the Astros don't mind giving power potential a ride, even if it Ks 30% of the time, a la Chris Carter. So in Krause, he looks like he's going to have a shot to play the outfield for quite a bit of time. And since being called up on July 23rd, 6 for 17 with a home run. He is King at 26%, at a 26% rate this year. So
He fits right in.
he fits right in. He peas in a pod. So there's,
See,
there's
Houston
no chance.
doesn't need Enron anymore to sponsor the field because they can bring in like a windmill company with the way these guys whiff.
Perfect. Go green energy.
There you go. Okay, Josh Fields, sticking to the Astros. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to find his ownership so low, and it just really goes to show that one bad month, especially for a reliever, can ruin your season stats for months on end. He came into the year with a chance to be the closer for the Astros, ended up having via March and April a 10.58 ERA in 9.1 innings pitched.
Awesome.
Lost his gig, ended up getting sent down to AAA, but then returned, and even with a DL stint mixed in there, has only given up 2 earned runs in that span and K'd 41 over 25.2 innings pitched with only 5 walks to go with it. That's a 14.3 K per 9 rate, and 8.2 to 1 K to base on ball ratio, and a .7 ERA. If you're in a league where Dellin Betances is owned, there's no reason that Josh Fields shouldn't be owned in that same kind of league.
Also, if they do move Chad Qualls, they've been asking for the move, but if they do move him, he'll get a shot to close there.
Exactly. I can't see them not giving him a shot with the way he's performed since.
Okay, really quick, we got about 45 seconds here. Talk to me about Billy Burns, the
Burns.
illegitimate love child of Billy Beane and Montgomery Burns.
See, the great thing about only having 45 seconds, this is all I need to say. Billy Burns is fast. Done. He has 51 steals and 56 attempts down in the minors right now. Great walk rate. If he gets a chance to start, minimal chance that he does, but if he gets that chance, he has Billy Hamilton / D Gordon type speed, and he has a healthy walk rate, walking around 10% for his career down in the minors. So if he can get on,
you gotta love guys named Billy. Period. I mean that's a good name, Billy. Hey Billy.
Oh Billy, yeah. No, I'm all about the Bills.
He is Sky_Razzball. You want to follow him because not only is he great for your fantasy baseball stuff, but he is a funny man on Twitter. Sky, thanks for joining us today. Listen, buddy, really excited to come by and pick you up and head up to Seattle. And then also, you'll also be on the back end of the tour. I think you're coming from Chicago to Denver. So if you want to meet Sky and his shaggy do, you can do it. Razzballtour.com for all the details. We'll be back right after this. This is Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network, also on Cablevision.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on ArrangementFinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on ArrangementFinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back to Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Special guest right now as we are starting to transition into football mode. We have Real Talk Raph from rotoballer.com. Welcome to Razzball Radio, my man. How are you?
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having us today. Very good, actually. Can't wait to start talking football.
I like that you're good. I get excited about talking football, too. So I'm really excited that you're with us. You can follow him at Real Talk Raph, R-A-P-H. Of course, he's from Rotoballer. And what we're going to discuss today, so you handle a lot of the running back duties over at rotoballer.com. So we're going to look at some running backs who could potentially outperform their ADP. So let's get right to the top of this here. CJ Spiller. I'm just going to make one argument real quick on CJ, okay? And
Sure.
I have him in some dynasty and keeper leagues. This guy has so many soft tissue injuries. He should be a soft shell crab. I want to hear your arguments as to why this guy can outperform his ADP, but man, he is on the verge of becoming, falling off the cliff of guys that I trust. So tell me, good sir, Mr. Raff,
Yes.
why in the HE double hockey sticks is there a chance that CJ Spiller is going to outperform his ADP?
First of all, the fact that you have shares of him in dynasty leagues, I think that's a good thing. He's in a contract year. He's an age 27 running back.
Yep.
Statistically speaking, we know they score a lot of points, and that is their peak. Now, the guys that are there with him, forget about his injuries for a moment. Just in the sense of talent, he is by far the most talented running back on that team. In fact, in the NFL, there's only a handful of guys like him. So in a healthy season, if, of course, he's healthy, we have a production level that could really be a top 3, top 4 back. And, he does say that he's feeling much better. His ankle is not bothering him.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Well, guys often will be very optimistic in training camp, but the truth of the matter is he knows that he has to perform this year. The team needs him to perform. He needs to perform from a personal standpoint. I mean, he references his 2012 season. He knows it was a big year. He knows it was a career year. and he wants to duplicate those kinds of efforts. So a lot of times it's a mentality to go along with a training regimen. We obviously don't know what he was eating and doing in the offseason, but we hope that he's ready to go based on what he says.
Now, my concern obviously is that you've got 3 running backs there. I think there's a chance that actually Fred Jackson could be cut. I mean, Fred Jackson has a lot of tread on his tires. He's only been fantasy relevant for a couple of years. My bigger concern is because Fred Jackson, of course, kind of went the long route from college to make it to the pro. So he's a lot older than you think he is. Bryce Brown's the guy I worry about because in terms of pure talent, this guy's like a top 15 running back. He's just never been able to, A, hold the ball consistently, and B, had the opportunity. So are you worried about him cutting into Spiller's burn here?
You know, honestly, it was kind of shocking that they brought him in. First of all, I agree with Fred Jackson, although I'm not sure he's going to be cut. He was still very consistent and a good runner last year. I mean, the guy started every game. He is about 33, but the fact of the matter is he holds on to the ball. He gives them stability, and seemingly they've known that he's old, but he doesn't have the same kind of tread perhaps that someone his age has had, NFL miles. So in regards to Bryce Brown, look, he wasn't that impressive last year. He fumbled. He didn't really show huge abilities when he had the chance. I think the guy has more hype than he has proven talent. We'll see what happens. I think obviously Fred Jackson not being in Buffalo, the potential of that opens up a timeshare, a small timeshare, but we know that a team that has this kind of a talent in C.J. Spiller, if he starts to get going week 1, week 2, like he did in 2012, which kind of came out of nowhere, things could go bonkers, and he could just become the main guy unless a soft tissue injury affects him of some sort.
Oh, soft tissue, C.J. Spiller. You're kidding. I actually had C.J. Spiller as my number 2 running back last year. I thought he had that kind of upside. I thought if there was anyone who could outperform AP, but again, soft tissue. Okay, let's head down to Jacksonville in the AFC South. I'm not getting the Toby Gerhart buzz because when this guy came out of college, he was fast. He was a 4.4 runner. Now he's like a 4.7, 4.8 runner. I actually kind of like Kenny, not for fantasy, but with Blackman not there, I know that the new head coach Jed Fish wants to run, but how is this guy going to outperform his ADP? Because I think he's going too high as it is.
Well, this is the truth. I've often referred to Toby Gerhart as the Stanford sledgehammer because he's a big boy and he's going to put the pounding. He doesn't necessarily look to pound you like that, but that's the style that ends up being. I mean, look, he had a fluky 7.9 yards per carry last year.
Yeah,
we know that's unsustainable. That's not what he got his contract about. He has low mileage. He's been very reliable besides a little bit of hamstring problem last year that he had. Being the backup to a featured running back in the NFL often gives you that kind of, mystique. We've seen it in the past, and teams are going to take a chance when you become a free agent that there is something there, and, he has shown flashes. So it's not like he's going to be shaking, baking people like C.J. Spiller, but when the coaching staff basically says, we brought him in to be the lead guy, we brought him in to be an all-down back, not just here and there. I mean, they want him to block, they want him to catch passes, they want him to run up and down. So even though his yards per carry might not be amazing at the end of the season, I think the volume workload that he's going to have if he stays healthy will be, viable to outperform, say, a 6th-round ADP where he's going now. He could be a 2nd, 3rd-round ADP value if he gets that volume.
So is the upside kind of what Zach Stacy did last year?
Yeah, I mean, Zach Stacy wasn't on everyone's radar on draft day last year. He was for some, but yes, there is that kind of an upside because he's going to be a workload back. If they give him the workload, he's going to do it. Todman has shown potential. Todman is a decent running back, but it's not the same kind of, full body that Gerhart is. I think they want to really give their young quarterback, a chance to develop. And Gerhart is the kind of guy who they can just give the ball to reliably over and over and over. So it seems like it's not the sexiest pick, but again, he could be a guy who, if you're in the 5th, 6th round of your draft and some of the better running backs have gone, don't be afraid to take Toby Gerhart. He's going to make you look good.
You know what? I will make this argument for Jacksonville. The offensive line is young and talented, and especially on that defense, people don't realize because they've been so bad, but that actually could be a sleeper defense this year. That defensive line is outstanding, and they drafted, I think, 5 guys in the secondary, not this year, but the year before. So if they are playing, really tight defense and grounding and pounding, I could see a Zach Stacy type season. Some people have kind of compared him to Peyton Hillis. I don't agree with that. Hillis had that 1 year out of nowhere, and has done absolutely nothing since, and that was behind a really good O-line back then in Cleveland. So I'm interested in Gerhart, but I think listen, if he's there round 6 and I need a running back, I might consider it. But I am definitely, I'm not even on the fence. I'm not even getting a stool to put next to the fence, to get me prepped to hop the fence. I'm still probably about a couple yards away from the fence, but we'll see. He's one of the guys I'm curious to see how he actually does this year. Okay, this is Raf, Real Talk Raf from rotoballer.com. We'll be right back. Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on arrangementfinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on arrangementfinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back to Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. I am joined by Real Talk Raf. Follow him at Real Talk Raf, R-A-P-H. We are talking running backs. I need to point this out. We had Sky on earlier in the show, whose hair is terrible. You've got quite the coif there, my man. You're looking sleek. You're ready for football season. See, that's the upside and downside of hair care. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, let's talk about Gio Bernard. A lot of people concerned that Jeremy Hill is going to cut into his time. I think this guy is electric. I would love to have him. I'm just not going to get him where I'm prepared to pay for him because I've seen him go as high as the beginning of the second round. Why do you think he's going to outperform his ADP?
Yeah, this guy is not a traditional sleeper, especially not at this point in the season moving into the draft. There's a lot of hype building around his potential. Here's one thing that's very important to note about ADP and Gio Bernard. If you're playing in a PPR league, this is very applicable. He's just an extraordinary talent that may very well outperform even his third round or so ADP. The thing is, you're not going to get the same marginal potential gain as like from a CJ Spiller or a Gerhardt where you're going to take him in a 6th round. But, he does have huge upside. Again, he's almost a Spiller type, maybe without the workload on the ground. But the truth is, we project him for over 60 catches this year, but he could go for over 70. And when you start talking about a point per reception and getting him into open space, the chance of him scoring 8 or so, 9 or so touchdowns, this guy could end up very much so outperforming his draft value because people think that this timeshare is going to affect him, but he's just a rare talent with the ball in his hand. It's a completely different situation.
Yeah, he's pretty slick. I'm excited to see what he can do. Okay, let's go to Tennessee, talk about Bishop Sankey. We've talked about him a lot on the show, obviously. Titans have upgraded their offensive line. It looks like from this year's rookie class, he's the most likely to succeed quickly. I like him. He was a great runner at Washington. T-Hole, of course, actually brought him up when we were talking NFL draft earlier this year. I do think there are some other rookie runners who could outperform this guy, and my concern is that because of opportunity, people are drafting him higher than he should actually go. So again, tell me, why will he outperform his average draft position?
So I was a little skeptical about Sankey too. I read mixed reports. I decided I had to watch a little video, and I actually did quite a bit of that last night on him. I wanted to really be sure I was going to give pure advice. Here's the thing about Sankey. I think he's underrated in his athleticism. He kind of looks like Gio Bernard in his size and running style, but the guy cuts and dashes between the tackles. He's an inside runner. He's an outside runner.
And he's thick cut. I mean, that's the other thing, too. He's kind of a mini fire hydrant. He's thicker than you think.
He is a bigger guy, but, that's why, and this is going to sound crazy, I see more Arian Foster in a breakout season than I see a Gio Bernard. The workload makes me feel like he can be an Arian Foster just because they're going to be forced to. Now, is he going to be the rookie that comes out of nowhere and changes your life? Probably not. But look, again, at 6th round value, I think that's a little underrated for a guy who's going to have full-time carries and does have the upside. Sean Green, overweight. He's not that good to begin with. Who else are they going to give the ball to? Jake Locker, maybe he'll stay healthy, maybe he won't. This team has traditionally been built around dynamic running backs, and Bishop Sankey is the next in line. I mean, this is who they have up for us, and I think that he's going to perform this year. I'm not sure it's going to be, again, Gio Bernard caliber, but the guy has a lot of upside based on his situation and his talent level, for sure.
Okay, interesting. Good arguments. Let's do some quick hit stuff here. Let's head down to Indianapolis. I'm on the record as saying Trent Richardson could have a really good year this year. I like what he could do given the opportunity. I think that the passing game is going to take a big step forward in Indianapolis because they've really relied on Andrew Luck kind of willing them to wins. But I think there's a good opportunity there for Trent Richardson to finally get an opportunity, at least compared to where he's going. But how is Ahmad Bradshaw, who is made of peanut brittle, going to cut into his time?
I just want to know, people should know that Trent Richardson never put up a 1,000-yard season. Even in 2012, he put up 950. Now, he did have 51 catches, so he has upside in the receiving game. But now let's go to Ahmad Bradshaw. He was re-signed by the team as a security blanket, but actually, if you look at consistency ratings for when he does play games, he's one of the most consistent running backs in the NFL. He has a low bust, ratio. He doesn't have horrible performances unless he gets, injured in the middle of the game and gets taken out. So his main risk is injury. If you get into the season and, he's there and available on the waiver wire, especially after draft day, he should not be. He's a guy who, right out of the gate, can show you, like last season, one or two really good games. So it's important to pay attention to Ahmad Bradshaw, pay attention to that situation. I mean, there is Vic Ballard there still, but it's clear that Trent Richardson...
Ballard's out for the year.
So sorry.
Breaking news. Vic Ballard is out. Which again, with Bradshaw's health history, it really could be the T-Rich show all day, all night in Indianapolis.
We'll see about that. I'm a little concerned. His yards per carry, he didn't have a 100-yard game last year. I mean, the guy has a little bit of a problem with the field vision. We'll see if they can correct that. There's a lot more passing game tools there this year, so it's possible that things will change with the scheme that will open up more holes for him. And, this guy does have upside. He's still a first-round pick from a few years ago, and people want to see him do big things. So there's going to be some investments, I think, in him. Maybe 6th round, 7th round value. He shouldn't be going much earlier than that, to be honest.
Okay, so real quick, we got about 45 seconds here. Let's go to Oakland. The mess between Maurice Jones-Drew, Run DMC, and also Latavius Murray starting to get some buzz there. Who's going to wind up as the main guy in Oaktown?
MJD, as usual, is professing his health and how strong he feels. They have some dynamic playability there, but I do believe that he's going to be the featured back if he's healthy. MJD, again, he's 29. He's got some mileage on him, but he's the kind of running back that he could be a veteran presence. He could be a load carrier. We know that Run DMC is not going to last the whole season. Even if he's flash in the pan for a few games, there's going to be soft tissue injuries there. So, there's a good chance that you want to invest in MJD not too early, but he's probably the guy to own on that team, in my opinion, going into the season.
All right. He is Real Talk Raph at Real Talk Raph, RAPH from rotoballer.com. Thanks for joining us today, buddy. Really appreciate it. We are going to see you out in New York City when the Razzball 32 and 32 and 32 rolls through. It is Thursday, August 21st, 7 p.m. at Duke's Original Roadhouse, Murray Hill location. I'm going to see you, the rest of the Rotoballer crew, as well as lots of other fantasy experts. New York is going to be big. If you want tour information, razzballtour.com. Thanks for joining us today, my man.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks for having us, Nick. Take care.
I will have have a wonderful day. Yes, sir. Yes, I will. All right, this is Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk baseball with Gray. Thanks for joining us.